The ISDND Thought Center postcard. Article: Dark Future Ahead of Myanmar Army is written by Kamruzzaman, who is an Asia-based prize-winning freelance journalist. He says that international rights defender, Burma Human Rights Network, BHRN, in a report published a list of 77 Myanmar nationals, who have been reportedly killed by the armed forces of the Buddhist majority country during the ongoing anti-coup protests, popularly known as Civil Disobedience Movement, CDM. The report has mentioned victims' name, age, and location of death in the Southeast Asian country of nearly 55 million people. The highest 22 murders have been reported from Yangon, the largest city and the industrial and commercial center of the country, while 15 protesters were killed in Mandalay, the north-central and second-largest city of the country. However, in the current capital city of Naypyidaw, one demonstrator was killed. In analyzing the data, it is seen that most of the killed are youths, and 58 of them have not crossed the age level of 40 years, meaning that above 75% of the deceased are young. Besides, 42 of the victims are under 30 years, that is to say that nearly 55% of the killed are very young. Unfortunately, 11 of the murdered are children of below 18 years. It means that above 14% of the protesters, who have been brutally murdered by the Myanmar state forces during the pro-democratic and anti-coup movement, are children as per the prevailing state rule of the country. Dark future ahead of Myanmar Army. It seems that Myanmar Army is going to fall into a great crisis in near future, as the youths of the country who will lead the nation in the days ahead have been the prime victims of the crackdown. There are students, teachers, engineers, human rights defenders and other professionals among the murdered. People from all categories, including fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, sons, daughters, husbands, and wives, have been victims of killing. It also reminds us of the brutality of Myanmar Army in August 2017 against the minority Rohingya Muslims that is still continuing. Throughout 2020, Myanmar security forces engaged in torture, murder, and enforced disappearances of Rohingya, killing at least 33, in violation of the International Court of Justice's Provisional Measures Order. Thomas H. Andrews, United Nations Special Rapporteur on the Situation of Human Rights in Myanmar, said on Thursday. So the young generation of Myanmar, who are the future leaders of the country, have had a bitter experience about their own army, though the holy duty of the force is to protect the country and countrymen from external enemies. There is no doubt that the long history of authoritarian ruling of Myanmar Army must be faded out in near future. After so much bloodshed of civilians, the countrymen will never allow the army enjoying supremacy, risking democracy and people's mandate. So the future of the current authoritarian army is supposed to fall in a great dark in near future, and a new Myanmar will open its door for all sorts of people, including Rohingya Muslims and other depressed minorities, paving the way of an ideal multiculturalism. Military poses a threat to civilians. Andrews underlined the oppression the Myanmar people are currently passing through. He said, as of last night, March 10, 2021, the total number of arbitrary arrests and detentions since February 1 had risen beyond 2,000 in 28 townships throughout the county, and the violence against protesters, including violence against people sitting peacefully in their homes, is steadily increasing. There is also extensive video evidence of security forces, who were viciously beating protesters, medics, and bystanders, in addition to the murders and detentions. Video clips show how soldiers and police systematically move through neighborhoods, destroying property, looting shops, arbitrarily arresting protesters and passers-by, and firing indiscriminately into people's homes. Video of soldiers dragging the dead bodies of victims have also gone viral in mainstream and social media. Marking the coup after military regime in Myanmar as a murderous and illegal regime, the UN Special Rapporteur also pointed out, its Myanmar current leadership perpetrated the atrocity crimes that are the focus of the charge of genocide before the International Court of Justice. In a separate statement, BHRN said, the Myanmar military has engaged in a campaign of terror against the civilian population since the February 1 coup, and in recent weeks it has begun to target individual civilians for their party affiliation and religion. The ousted National League for Democracy, NLD, Party of Myanmar have many Muslim members, who have been arbitrarily arrested, tortured, and murdered in junta custody. International rights watchdog, Amnesty International in a new research revealed on Thursday accused the Myanmar military of using increasingly lethal tactics and weapons against peaceful protesters and bystanders across the country. These weapons are normally seen on the battlefield. By verifying more than 50 videos from the ongoing crackdown, Amnesty International's Crisis Evidence Lab can confirm that security forces appear to be implementing planned, systematic strategies including the ramped-up use of lethal force. Many of the killings documented amount to extrajudicial executions, said the research. So the ground reality of Myanmar is that none, irrespective of religious or ethnic affiliation, is safe at the hand of the ruling military junta. Weak role of world actors must be changed. UN Security Council in a statement issued on Wednesday expressed its deep concern about the developments in Myanmar. The Big Five along with Temporary 10 condemned the violence against peaceful protesters and expressed continued support for a democratic transition. However, this so-called concern of the UN Security Council is actually a diplomatic eyewash that was seen during the brutal massacre launched by the Myanmar army against the minority Rohingya Muslims in August 2017, enforcing more than 750,000 Rohingya refugees, mostly women and children, to flee into neighboring Bangladesh. Currently, the South Asian country is hosting above 1.2 million Rohingya in the world's largest refugee camp in the southern district of Cox's Bazar. During the brutal crackdown, marked by the UN as textbook example of ethnic cleansing, Myanmar army killed nearly 24,000 Rohingya Muslims while more than 34,000 Rohingya were thrown into fires and over 114,000 others were beaten, according to a report entitled Forced Migration of Rohingya, The Untold Experience prepared by Ontario International Development Agency. During that operation as many as 18,000 Rohingya women and girls were raped by Myanmar's army and police. Now the same Myanmar army is killing its own democracy-loving people. So no more meaningless concerns, a concrete action including a unified and coordinated economic sanction against Myanmar's killer military is a must. Myanmar's natural gas projects are expected to generate an estimated $1 billion in revenue this year. If there is no sanction, the illegal military junta of the country will be able to use these funds to support their criminal enterprises and their attacks on innocent people. Above 400 civil society organizations in Myanmar in a recent joint statement have also called on the international community to ensure that oil and gas revenues in Myanmar are used only for humanitarian purposes or held until the legal control of the resources of Myanmar is ensured.